information for valued vendors, manufacturers, and other trade partners of our customers here in the U.S. What we've done today is we've put together a webinar to help assist the important customers of our importers on what ISF 10+2 is and how you can help your importer of record in the United States be compliant with some of these new regulations. What we're going to do today is just go over briefly in an educational format what ISF is, why it is in place now, and again, how you can help your importer comply with these regulations. Tonight's presentation is in English, and we've also translated into Mandarin, which will hopefully help you better understand these regulations. Once we're done with the presentation today, we're going to open it up for questions and answers. And what you can do is on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see the ability to chat or type a question into the system so that we can answer it for you. Also, after we finish tonight's presentation, we're going to post this presentation to our website. So you'll be able to look up and further review some of the things we've discussed today so you can help better understand ISF and how you can assist us. So without further ado, we're going to start the presentation. The Importer Security Filing, or 10+2, is a regulation that was recently put into place by the United States for national security purposes. In fact, it has what we call a national security tag attached to it. So what that means is it's very important for importers of record in the United States to comply with these regulations. The reason that 10+2 is in place now is because post 9/11 in the United States, there was a tremendous amount of forward-looking regulations put into place by our Congress. One of the things that they wanted to do was to have full exam of cargo containers by 2012. Now, as many of you know, this would be a tremendous problem for most of you in setting imports into the United States. It would also require a lot of technology and personnel, which we don't have in place. So what Congress did instead was they put together a program called the Importer Security Filing, which would allow for importers to provide data that would allow customs in the United States to understand what was being imported into the country. Here are the 10 data elements, which many of you may already be familiar with. And these are the items that the importer of record that you are selling to must put into the customs computer system. It's called 10+2 because there are 10 data elements that the importer is responsible for, and there are 2 data elements that the carrier is responsible for. The one item that then matches the 10 items of the importer with the 2 items of the carrier is the bill of lading. And the bill of lading is an important piece of this puzzle to put together because it allows the matching so that customs can tell that the importer security filing was filed on time. So it's called 10+2 because of these items. And just as further clarification on the bill of lading, the bill of lading needs to be the AMS bill of lading, or the bill of lading that is the lowest bill that the goods will be traveling under. If you're contracting with the steamship line all the way through, you'll have what's called a straight bill. If you're contracting with a forwarder or another non-vessel operating carrier, you'll have what's called a house bill. In either condition, we do not want the master bill to be the information that's put into the system. It must be either the straight bill or the house bill of lading. Now the first item on this list is the manufacturer. This ought to be pretty easy because this is probably you today. The actual definition, of course, is the name and address of the entity that last manufactures or assembles, produces, or grows the commodity. So it's pretty straightforward, and most of you who are on the webinar today are probably this entity. So that's probably the easiest item for you to get together. Second is, of course, the seller, and that's the name and address of the last known entity by whom the goods are sold or agreed to be sold. So if the goods are to be imported otherwise than in pursuance of a purchase, then the name and address of the owner of the goods must be provided instead. The third item is the stuffing location. And this again is the name and address of the actual physical location where the goods were put or stuffed into the container. If you have a break bulk shipment, then the name and address of the physical location where the goods were made, ship ready, must be provided instead. The fourth number is the consolidator. And this is the name and address of the party who stuffed the container or arranged for the stuffing of the container. Again, for break bulk, the address of the party who made the goods ship ready. And in many cases, the consolidator and the stuffer may in fact be the same entity. The next is the buyer. And this, of course, is the name and address, the last known entity to whom the goods are sold or agreed to be sold. In many cases, this will be the importer of record to whom you are shipping the goods. The next is a ship-to address, and this is the name of the address of the first delivered to party where the goods are scheduled to be physically received or released from customs custody. So this could be the address to where they're delivered, or it could be the actual port or the warehouse where the goods are unladen or released and received under good customs entry in the United States. The importer of record, of course, should be very easy for all of us because this is going to be the customer whom which you're doing business with. Now that customer needs to provide their IRS or their importer of record number, but that's pretty easy. And this information is by and large going to be left up to the importer of record to whom you are doing business with. The eighth, of course, is the consignee, which in many cases is the importer of record as well, although the actual definition will be the individual or firm in the United States on whose account the merchandise is shipped. That element needs to provide the Social Security or the tax ID number as well on the form. And this could be the consignee number that is also found in the Customs Entry Form 3461. This, of course, will be a very easy item, the country of origin, and that's by and large where most of you are sitting tonight. But, of course, if you also are arranging for goods to be sent from a country other than where you are, that will be the country of origin. This, of course, is an easy item. And the last, of course, the number 10 item is the commodity or the tariff code of the items that you will be shipping to the United States. Now, this could be information that by and large is left up to the importer of record to identify because at the end of the day, it's their accurate classification of the proper tariff code for these goods that will be put into the ISF and for which they will be measured by CBP here. So you may be asked to perhaps put in a part number that will then tie out to a tariff code within the TRG Direct system, but this is, of course, a very important part of the information data set that is required for 10+